What in the fresh here? Ooh, I don't like it. You've probably heard of Postman, but have you ever actually used it? And how easy is it for a new user to get started with it? Let's find out today on Technical Writing Uncensored. I'm Diana Paton. I've been doing technical writing for about 15 years, mostly software. I've been around the block a few times, seen a lot, got the stories to tell. And I am here to bring you along with me as I test out Postman's getting started documentation and experience. Now, when I test documentation, I try to put aside some of my many years of experience and pretend that I am a new user. In this case, my new user persona is that I am a technical writer or other technical layperson, not an engineer or developer. I understand how APIs work. Maybe I've made some API curl calls, but I've never used Postman before. And I assume that I will be testing APIs as part of a professional role. With that in mind, let's get started. If you enjoy this content, like and subscribe. I always start with the Google search because if I can't find the documentation, then it might as well not exist. Ooh, Postman for steps, navigating Postman, discover public APIs. Interesting. So get it started in Postman. All right. Welcome. Section of the Postman docs contains how to get started. Cool. Jump to one of the following. This is not a documentation audit, so I'm not going to spend too much time diving into the specifics of this, but this could be way easier to scan. If I were working with this, I would rewrite it so that something like this verb, a thing, create a Postman account would be the link, and then I would talk more about it. All right, so problem here is I've got this welcome. It says get started in Postman, but it doesn't necessarily tell me what to do. Okay, so I'll go on down the list. So first steps, seems like a good place to start. Well, this quick guide to get started with using Postman. You'll learn how to install, send API requests, write your first test, and save requests in a collection. Good. That gives me an idea of the tasks. I would probably put this in a bulleted list to be more skimmable. Okay, when you're ready, select download. Cool. On the left. All right, good. Postman recommends going through each of the topics in this section in order. Make sure to sign up for a free Postman account when directed so you can save your work. All right, download. All right, get the Postman app. I don't think this is really the best place to put that information, but that's not the point here. Ooh, I don't like it. So, did you see what happened there? I clicked download. Instead of opening in a new tab, it opened it in the same tab. So in order to get back to the documentation, I'm going to have to go and get that. Okay, install. All right, my applications folder, got Postman. Now I'm opening. All right, so I've got Postman open. Now I have to go back and click again to get to the next thing. All right, so send your first API request. In Postman, you can send a request to an endpoint, retrieve data from a data source, or test an API's functionality. You don't need to enter commands in its terminal or write any code. Cool, as a new user, that makes me happy. Okay, select plus, add in the workbench to open a new tab. I click, and wow, where am I? Postman interface. I did not expect to end up there. All right, I don't want to be there. I'm going to go back. So that's not a great thing. I'm going to go over here, click the plus, which I had the plus sign, but I don't see anything named ads. I'm guessing, and I hate guessing in getting started or any documentation. Enter postmanecho.com, select get for the request URL, and then select send. It should be click send, but okay, I get what they're saying. Is there? Send and download. Okay. Send. All right, got it. All right, cool. I clicked send. I got a request. Hurrah. Postmanecho.com. All right, Postman displays the response sent from the server in the lower pane. Good. It tells me to do a thing, then it tells me what I should see. And it says, what happened? This example, Postman is acting as the client application, is communicating with an API server. Here's what happened when you clicked, not selected, send. Get request. Okay, that's good. Oh, and then it gives me a nice graphic. It's kind of weird that 1 is at the bottom. I probably would have organized it so it went 1, 2, 3. But all of the relevant information is there. Next steps. Bravo, done that. I can visit the Postman Echo API documentation. We'll create and send API requests in Postman. But I thought I was going through the Postman first step, so this is kind of confusing. So I'm going to ignore this for now and go on to write a test. Write our first test. API tests are a way to ensure that your API is behaving as you expect it to. Good. That is very helpful. And because if I am a new user, I might not know what an API test is. For example, it gives me an example. Postman includes code snippets you can add and then change to suit your logic. Go to the request you made and send your first API request. And in the request, select the scripts tab, then select post response. And in the request, select the scripts tab. So this is, I guess this tab is the request. Is that done here? Or I don't see a scripts tab anywhere. And I don't see post response either, but talked about tests, I'm going to guess tests. And I still don't see anything that they're talking about. So at this point, this topic has failed. It has given me incomplete, incorrect instructions. And I have to resort to guessing. So select snippets at the lower right of the code editor and then select static code is 200. Thus we'll enter. Okay, so snippets. Static code is 200. Okay, cool. I clicked that. And then click send. Okay. After the test will run in the response section, this is driving me nuts. Get your verbs right, guys. Click test result. After the result runs, the test will run in the response section. Click test results to view the result of your tests. Okay, so test result 101. Okay, pass. Status code is 200. Cool. The actual process is good, but this is not the scripts tab. This is the tests tab. They need to update stuff. I'm assuming that there was a UI change and this just didn't get updated. All right, on to the next. So to learn more about writing tests, go to here. Okay, that's helpful. It's a little odd that it doesn't have and what happened or next steps the way that send a request did. So I don't like that inconsistency. But on to the next. Sign in. Using the Postman desktop app and not signed in, you're in the lightweight Postman API client. To create an account, select Create Account in the upper right corner of here. Oh, in documentation, this is why you need to tell your users where to do the thing. Because it says select account in the upper right corner. It doesn't tell me upper right corner of what. All right, I'm going to create an account. Create account via web browser. All right. Great to have you aboard, Diana Paton. Yay. If you aren't redirected, use a token to sign in. Why am I not being redirected? What? Copy the token below, paste in the enter authorization field in the desktop. Okay, redirecting to the desktop app. I'm trying to open Postman again. What the heck? All right, I'm reopening Postman. It's not redirecting. What is going on? I must have accidentally closed it? Maybe? Okay, no, it's got me logged in now. I've got a personal workspace. Okay, cool, I guess. All right, I've signed in. To learn more about creating and updating your Postman account, visit Postman accounts. Okay, cool. Create my first collection. To create a collection in this example, you start by creating a new request first. Okay, this is a good place where like they did an API test, they should actually define what a collection is. Because if I go here, I get taken to Postman elements, and so that gets me out of there. This collection is a set of requests to send to API endpoints. This bit, or at least the first sentence of it, should have been right here, and then learn more about collections. You can create a new request from the sidebar in Postman. To create a collection, do the following. If you haven't already, install the desktop app, sign in Postman, which I have. Select new in HTTP. So now this is where, okay, new HTTP. All right, that matches. Okay. Enter a request in the request builder and select save. All right, I'll go. Well, it would be nice if they would have given me a request to save, but I'll go back to here and get my postman.com. I go get, see how that, okay, send, okay, create a collection, enter a request in the request builder, which I guess is here, and then save. How do I save it? I can send and down. Oh, save. There we are. Okay, that, sure, new collection. Why not? Okay, that's how I get a new collection, and then I can add more here and then change the key values, I guess. Enter request, create a new collection by, okay, click create. Save to save the request in the new collection after you, okay, select save to save the request. Didn't I already do that? Do a request in the request builder and select save. Create a new collection by selecting new collection. I thought I already did that. I'm very confused by this. To save the request, your new collection, the requests are listed under the collection sidebar. Yes, they are. Every request you send in Postman appears under the history tab of the sidebar. All right, cool. On to the next. Explore the Postman API network. Discover public APIs in the Postman API network. They're kind of moving on to a self-guided explore thing because the only thing that approximates a step is select API network. And I guess I can look through here and see stuff. Now, if I were writing this documentation, I would give a little bit more guidance because I would choose a nice generic, maybe the Postman API network, and guide the user through searching for and maybe using something here rather than dropping all of this very detailed, complex information on my brand new user. You know, it still needs a little bit of hand holding here, in my opinion. And next steps. Okay, next step with Postman. Again, not very scannable. So let's see. I have created a new request, wrote a test, and created a new collection. So that's good. But then I had to do a lot of guessing along the way. All right, so I guess we can say that I have gotten started with Postman. I got started with Postman and was mostly successful, but it was kind of rocky. I'll give their grade in a little bit, but let me talk through some of my feedback. The first couple tasks were really good. The write a request and create a test, but they referred to UI elements that I was supposed to interact with to click, not select, that didn't exist, and so I had to do some guessing. The user should never have to guess when they are just getting started. They are a brand new user. It's too soon to ask them to guess. The downloading was a little rocky. I didn't like that I had to go out of the documentation and then go back into it, find my own way back in. It would have been a much better experience if the download page opened in a new tab rather than the tab that I was using. The create account or sign into account portion was very confusing. I didn't feel like it explained well that when I sign into the account, it would put me back into Postman. And I don't know if I accidentally closed Postman or if it closed Postman for me, but then I had to hunt around to get Postman reopened and figure out how to get back into it. And so that was also not really a confidence builder, and it was not a good user experience. The instructions for creating a collection were weird. It told me to save things twice. I managed to get through that and get my collection created. I think that's more of a credit to whoever the UX designer is than it is to the documentation, because that topic needs a rewrite. When it got to exploring the public API network, that topic was just a total fail. It basically said, here you go, here's a bunch of API networks, fly and be free. I would have provided a lot more guidance. This would have been a good opportunity to guide the user to the Postman API, perhaps, and show them what else that they could use, or perhaps a partner's API, some sort of a weather API or something else that's useful. Then let the user explore that. Yeah, it didn't really end well and give the user closure, like a feeling of success at the end. I did have a feeling of success when I created a collection. That could have been a good place to stop, since it basically kind of left at this open-ended portion between exploring the public API and the next steps. It really wasn't a good ending to get started documentation and onboarding process. There's a lot of room for improvement, and I think that Postman's getting started somewhere between a B and a C. We'll call it a B minus. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Tech Writer Gets Started with me, Diana Paton, on Technical Writing Uncensored. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions for what other software, especially open source software, that I should react to in terms of getting started and their documentation, please leave a comment below. Also, feel free to share your experience getting started with Postman. Was yours as easy or as hard as mine? Did you bother looking at the documentation, or did someone just send you a collection and let you play around with it? I want to know. I look forward to hearing from you. See you next time on Technical Writing Uncensored. Bye now.